What's going on? Welcome back to the Look Mum I'm Hustling podcast. We're back bi-weekly, second half of the week for our Friday or Thursday episode. Maybe you listen to it on Friday.
Yeah, it depends whenever you want to listen to, because it's a nice bite-sized piece that you can listen to while you're traveling to work, maybe doing the dishes, whatever. Just hear our voices in your ears. Why not?
I think we progressively get up to longer episodes.
I think so. Well, we did the hour long, but we're trying these little half an hour bite-sized pieces just to see how it goes, and then we can go back up to an hour again.
Little tasty morsels.
Yeah, little tasty morsels.
I think eventually we can get to like 2 hours. We can banter quite a bit, quite easily. I think you were mentioning the other day we used to do like live streams on our joint YouTube channel for a while, and we can banter about nonsense. We're not the most articulate or intelligent people going around, but I think we can lock a solid 2 hours in, I reckon. So that's something I think we can progressively get up to when we get up to that 100 or 200 episode mark. And I think we'll just eventually, when the numbers make sense, we'll just start a Patreon and maybe put like a longer episode once a month up for the people that want to consume us at greater length.
Yeah, 100%. We could do the whole, I think it's like, H3H3. They do like live episodes. That would be pretty interesting.
We could do live ones. Let us know in the comments below, guys, if you're on, if we do have a video version. If you're not watching, I don't know what you're doing. Get over onto YouTube and watch us. We do upload the video version to Spotify as well. And I think the largest portion of our listeners are from or use the Apple podcasting app, the OG app. So wherever you are, let us know if there's a means of communicating on there and dropping a comment. Let us know what you think about the 30-minute episodes, if you'd like longer ones in the future. And while you're there, drop us a rating and review. We haven't asked for one for probably 15, 20 episodes.
Yeah, it's true. We don't ask for much.
They go a long way to help the pod grow outside of sort of the organic reach that we get from the thumbnails and whatnot. So if you're enjoying the show and you stick around for the long haul, drop us a rating and review. It would be muchly appreciated.
Yeah, and I can imagine us doing like that live episode as well, because we've done the YouTube lives before where we just like ramble on for 2 to 3 hours long. But it'd be interesting to have like a chat version, right? Just like people talking to us while we're having the pod, the live reactions, or
very easy to get distracted with the nonsense going on 100%. The chat, let alone the nonsense in the conversation.
Yeah, the nonsense just with each other in general.
But this week's there's a lot of news for podcasting and YouTube in general. Like we're on this topic. Podcasts have been on YouTube for ages.
Yes.
Like everyone knows Joe Rogan's like one of the OGs, been around for a long time. One of the foundational video podcast versions. Even just before, I was looking at old clips from his show back in the day. I didn't realize you could actually, when you search on YouTube for videos, there's no real way of finding stuff at a particular date. Like if you want really, really old stuff. And then I did some Googling, and you can type in just whatever you're searching and then the words before and then like a semicolon and then the year, and it'll find anything before that date.
Oh, that makes sense, because like YouTube's owned by like Google, right? So that's what you'd write in the Google search to like find stuff.
Yeah,
interesting.
So you're just like Joe Rogan, because I've been listening to a bunch of Bert Kreischer episodes that he's been on this week, because he's promoting his new Netflix special, which we've watched and enjoyed, and we're actually seeing him in April. But I was like, I wonder what the early ones are. So I just typed in Rogan Crusher and then before 2012, and you can see all those clips from like 2011 and like how janky the setup was, how grainy the cameras were. So like, he's been around for ages doing it, and one of the OG video podcasters. But it's only just now, like those clips from 2011, and now it's 2023, and it's only. Like video podcast is only still gaining a bit of traction. Like it's very before his time.
Yeah, 100%. And it's like really interesting to think about it, because YouTube like as a platform and supporting video has been around for ages. And then podcast as like a media has been around for ages as well. But it's super rare that those two like combine and like cross paths. Like people that want to listen don't necessarily want to watch. But I think now, and it's really like highlighted this year, like a lot of people like want that transition between both.
Yeah. I don't think there's that many podcasts that would do the video version. I reckon it's a small percentage, let's say less than 10.
Well, it's like that old school, like you have a voice for radio kind of thing, just like implying someone's like not super attractive or whatever.
A lot of podcasters aren't.
Yeah. Well, it's just like,
we're up there.
We're medium. No, but it's like one of those things, like people might not feel comfortable being on camera, right? Like it's not easy talking to a camera and, speaking to like someone through a lens. Like it's just easier just talking into a microphone, like on your bed, like Emma Chamberlain style, who's only just recently gone into like that video aspect and, literally just in like sweatpants and just sitting on the couch with like a loose ass microphone, just like talking.
It depends on the content and how much of an edit there is. Like I've been listening to a bunch of these philosophy ones lately called Philosophize This, and they're just like stories about like ancient and modern philosophers and like books they've written and like the concept behind their thoughts and stuff like that. And none of them, there's no video version. Like they do upload a static image to YouTube, but it's like the content itself is like heavily scripted, I would imagine. Like you're not just off the cuff conversations like we are. Like we're more in the, like we're not comedians by any stretch, but we have like the more comedy style, fly on the wall banter conversation as opposed to what a typical podcast is, where it's, formulated and structured and has like a reason and a purpose behind it. So it depends on the purpose of the podcast. So if interview ones, you can do video versions, but like those ones that are like Serial, for example, one of the biggest ones of all time, unless you have heaps of B-roll to support the actual audio element, there's no real need to have a video to accompany the audio version.
No, that makes sense, because like just say it's like heavily scripted, you're not going to be looking at the camera the whole time. You're going to be looking down quite heaps. So it's not going to be as engaging as a video format. So what's the point of having a video format if you can't make like that eye contact, I guess? Eye contact?
Yeah, so anyway, that's a brief history of video podcasts. But basically, YouTube has added a bunch of new tools for podcasts in general. So it's going to support podcasters going forward more into the future and having its own segment on YouTube. So I would imagine that most people that consume YouTube aren't really interested in the back end or like the tools and features that allow creators to do what they do, or how to separate the content, or how to analyze the content that you do put up. So it's probably not that interesting to a lot of people, but for like just the marketing, like the market of podcasting in general, it's going to be interesting going forward, because I believe they're tying in the podcast on YouTube with YouTube or Google Music. So it's basically all tied together, because the way podcasts work is you upload a file to an RSS feed, which is basically just like a website link that gets updated frequently with your audio version. And then when you subscribe to a podcast on your podcast app, you're basically subscribing to that feed, if that makes sense. And then anytime there's a new file added to that feed, it just gets displayed in your app. So the way it works on YouTube now is like it's not necessarily in your RSS feed, but it's going to get linked up to the audio version of like Google Music or YouTube Music.
So you just have that seamless transition between like the video and the audio version. But yeah, all those YouTube like content creators that help other creators had a bit of a field day when the announcement sort of came out. Like heaps of people doing lives and just trying to figure it out, because a lot of people are excited about this, because a lot of the, like, and especially us, like, who mainly do it on YouTube, like, being excited to, like, finally have, like, a separate sort of tab for it almost. It's not available here in Australia yet.
No. Oh, let's have a look. It wasn't the other day. It probably still isn't. But
it's, like, one of those things that's, like, it's super exciting, because then you're going to have better data, better analytics. It looks like YouTube is slowly sort of, like, transitioning or just, like, reforming their platform to understand that there are a lot of podcasts on YouTube now, and it's just growing and growing and growing. Like, I don't think it's ever going anywhere. So people just need that, I guess, that extra support to support that type of content, because a lot of the stuff at the moment that you find in browse or whatever is, the 2 to 6 minute long videos, not, 30 minute to half to an hour long talking pieces.
It's good for creators that are new like us. We don't have like some of the biggest podcasts going now are ex-YouTubers, or they're athletes, or they're comedians, for example, or they have some sort of existing audience or like backing in terms of who's going to be interested in what they have to say. They've actually spent time in the public eye to a degree and have some sort of connection to their audience, or they come across from a different social media network or something like that. So for like new people like us coming up, it's a huge opportunity, like especially YouTube. Like if we were just like pumping these episodes just on the Spotify, Apple Music, no one would ever find us, because there's very little searchability there.
Discoverability, yeah.
So like YouTube has that benefit of being a searchable platform. If you make the thumbnails like interesting enough, which we try to do, then you have that ability to like get shown in the browse feed and just get shown to more random people over time, which you can't really do in the podcasting world, in the traditional podcasting audio apps. But it's also like YouTube's the best platform by far for being monetized, like making some sort of money or a few dollars basically off having been in the YouTube partner program. Like not many other platforms do that, especially in podcasting. And if you do, then you need a bunch of sponsors. Usually you have to be linked up to some network that does the brand deals and stuff for you. So like if anyone's interested in like doing podcasts, like YouTube video podcasts is like the way to go. And it's super easy. I'm sort of a lot of my content on my main channel now is geared towards new podcasters and video podcasters in general. And that's sort of the direction I'm taking with my channel to try and promote how easy it is. Cause like I love doing it. Like we're not, again, it's like something we're going to develop over like 5-10 years in terms of the skill set, but it's fun to rock up and do something different than a sit down scripted video every once in a while. But it's just a huge opportunity for everybody. And now that there's more developed features and YouTube's like focusing on it as an avenue, like you said, there's a new tab now on each channel can add its own podcasting tab. Just makes things more interesting and gives us more of a playing field to play in.
Yeah, no, 100%. Well, like and that's just the direction where things are going. Like people are either craving that super short form content or they're craving that super long form. Like people want choices. They don't want to be given limited amounts. Like we're so used to now in this day and age to be given like multiple avenues and like multiple pathways to like give our attention to. So it's kind of good that they're like, well, here's another thing for you to, dabble into, if you want something a little bit longer, here you go. Look at the podcast that we have out. And it's going to be good to be able to see like a different version of the podcasting side as well, because like one of our previous episodes, we talked about Spotify's recent update for their podcasting platforms where you get to actually preview like some of the episode like you actually would in YouTube. So maybe Spotify sort of knew this was like coming down or coming around. So they're like, far out, we better like release our update. So then, when YouTube comes around, like at least we can sort of compete with that sort of preview available. So now people can, I guess, have a look at what podcasts I want to listen to in both Spotify and YouTube. But again, YouTube has a bit more of a stronger foothold. And then Apple Music are just still doing their thing.
Yeah. It's very hard to make any money from traditional podcasting. Unless you have like I know a lot of the big Australian ones, they've got a radio show and they're on primetime radio and then they have a podcast as a side thing. And then obviously you've got 10,000 people that are interested in you immediately. But we're grinding from the ground floor.
Yeah, ground floor. Maybe the basement. That's where we're trying to walk along the stairs.
If you want to come along for the ride, for the long, long ride, and follow us in everything that we do appreciate it. I know there's I don't know the actual number. I think there's 200 subs on YouTube, which is again like
I think it's like 192 or something.
Maybe 200
like it's
at
close.
the end of this.
Yeah.
Which we appreciate every single one of them. Like it's not easy to do what we're doing, to show up every week and try and just lighten the load, lighten the mood, try and have a fun, interesting discussion. So we're appreciative of all 200 of them on YouTube, and then I think we're at about 79 consistent subscribers on Spotify, but the Spotify data is a bit washed out because they don't really give you all the other apps data because it is Spotify.
Gotcha.
But I mean, that's not to brag or to say we're horrible or anything. That's just, I guess, a baseline for us to look at in a few years' time. If we ever clip this section out, we can look at how much we've grown.
Well, how far we've come.
But yeah, if you like the show, we'd appreciate if you could share it out. That's probably the most important way you can help us, or the most helpful way you can support the show. You can leave you're yawning again. Am I boring?
Sorry, no. I came straight from work and jumped into this. So classic. Look, Mum, I'm hustling. See, coming straight from work.
You need a nap in a second. But yeah, any rating or review would be super helpful to the show. But a share goes a long, long way. Just simply sharing a link out would be great.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Thanks, everybody. That's not the end of the episode, though. Let's do it.
Yeah, no,
No, it's fine. I'm just saying.
The thing about video podcasts,
yeah.
you have to think about how YouTube plays in as well, because I think we are like podcasts are audio first. We've had this discussion before, and if there wasn't the ability to strip this audio, or the audio version of this wouldn't make sense, it would just be a video.
Yes.
But because the audio is a standalone piece and you don't need the video, then it's considered a podcast, basically.
Yeah. But you showed me, sorry to interrupt, but like you showed me, Rick Glassman, like he has a video podcast, but I think he's one of the few people that you show me that actually pops in like animation
It's a show. That's
and
more of a show.
B-roll.
You can still listen to it as a podcast in a traditional audio sense, but that is a show where I imagine there's probably a good 18 to 20, like probably at least 15 to 18 hours of editing into each one of those.
Right.
So many visual elements, animations. Obviously, you'd probably have a whole production team behind him.
Yeah. But it's set up like a podcast, like because he has guests in and.
Yeah, it's an interview show.
Yeah. Take your shoes off.
That's the thing. If you can make it a show, then it's kind of more interesting to just have on in the background. And like that's one thing as well. Like we got to think about this. Coming from a new direction, not as an audio first thing. We're thinking about it as a video first thing.
Yeah.
And that means playing in YouTube's wheelhouse, doing what they need. And by like saying this is the end or mentioning the end of anything in the middle of an episode kills the retention.
I was just saying thank you for people that are watching. Not that this is the end of the episode.
Basically, like took your hat off and said thank you and saluted your way out of the episode.
No, they'll see like you still got runtime on the video. Be like, oh, it's not it.
So yeah, it's gonna make it a show. Make it more enjoyable. But like what's interesting now is I think YouTube is the biggest OTT YouTube OTT platform in the world.
What does OTT stand for?
It stands for, I wouldn't bring it up yet until I find something. OTT, it means over the top. So it's basically like not traditional TV. So it's like kind of just through the internet.
Okay.
I mean, it's impossible to like find data on the fly, but YouTube leads all OTT platforms, including Netflix, in monthly average viewers.
I could see that.
So you can bring it up if you want. This is from November, but it's just about how many monthly users are on the platform. So YouTube, again, this is from 2022. YouTube is at 231 million monthly. I think they said monthly users. Netflix 169, Amazon, Hulu, Disney. I
could see that because it's big in like pretty much most countries and it's huge in India, right? Like it's massive in India.
It is. I've been like a lot of stuff I've been searching lately. I like to search some of my favorite authors or podcasters, the ones that do the rounds and get on a bunch of other people's podcasts. And when I search in the search bar and then like filter new to old to just find like be on top of the game, like find new stuff. Yeah. There's a lot of Indian content, a lot of non-English speaking content. So it is massive. But one thing I was going to mention is not only is YouTube the biggest OTT platform, but like consumption on televisions is
decreasing,
gigantic, increasing.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Oh, no, consumption of YouTube on TV.
On TVs.
Yes. Yeah.
Like TV is just it's not even television anymore.
Yeah.
Like I was listening to someone talk about this. Like when you watch something on Netflix, like a Netflix show, you're not really watching television. You're watching a streaming show.
Yeah.
Like television, like the word itself is like kind of different to what we do now in terms of the habit.
Traditional, yeah. And I think we've actually talked about this in one of our previous episodes when talking about streaming platforms and everything. Like we're just talking about how people are just watching more of that streaming stuff on their actual TV and how on actual free to air, it's not like it's all just like American shows anyway. Like it's just how it is now.
So basically every TV, every TV in the world is just a YouTube player now.
Yeah. Well, if you go into an electronics store, even those small TVs are smart TVs now. It's rare to find a TV that's not a smart TV anymore.
It's just so, yeah, that's kind of the way I'm looking at it. That's why people, they have the option of choosing people they connect with at their level. So not a huge production company, a huge multi-million-dollar show they can sit down and connect with one of their favorite podcasters every week for 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours. So that's why the YouTube element and the thinking about it as more of like a show, depending on the content you make for your podcast, of course, that's why it's important for us anyway to focus on the video version. And why I think this new data or the new update from YouTube itself is important news, right?
Well, we've always put video first anyway, ever since like day dot. Like we're like from day one, we're like, let's make it a video podcast because we did the Bold Encounters, which was just audio only, and that was literally us sitting on the bed with 2 loose microphones just chatting about Star Trek. But then when we did the Look Mom Hustling, we're like, we're going to make it a video thing, and we just said that from day one, and we always had an emphasis on making sure the thumbnails were pretty decent as well. Like we sort of knew that's like where we wanted to do. So like for a while, we're like have been putting video first.
I forgot about Bold Encounters. Should we bring it back?
Oh my gosh, we still have it up there?
It's not. I haven't paid for hosting, so I don't know if the episodes exist. Let's have a listen.
Is it on there?
Episode file missing. This is just like a remnant file from in the past.
So a ragtag.
Hang on. Give us a preface. So this is back in 2017. Sarah and I did 7 episodes.
We didn't make it past that old 10. We didn't make it past 10.
It's a good thumbnail, though. Maybe we should bring it back, revive it. A podcast about Star Trek, and in particular, the Discovery podcast, a TV show that was on Netflix.
Mm-hmm. We were very excited when that was going to come out.
And basically, we just listened to the episode live and then commented over the top.
Yeah.
Without any copyright infringement, of course.
Yeah.
Okay, now they understand what we're talking about. Now you can give the description, the bio of the show.
All right, so it's a ragtag weekly podcast based on the new TV series, Star Trek Discovery. Join Drew and Sarah, a pair of somewhat knowledgeable Trekkers, as they boldly encounter the depths of Trek.
I kind of want to get back into it, to be honest.
Well, we do, because I think what is Discovery up to now? Like season 4?
They're into a lot of seasons.
Okay, I think we stopped after a little bit, but yeah, that was fun. That was just on the bed, just talking about it.
Not the only thing we did on the bed.
Oh no, never is. But that was fun.
It was a fun pod.
It was a fun pod, and that was just something for us to be able to spend time together. I think that was one of the main reasons why we wanted to, bring it back together and have a pod together. But that was just audio only. So
that was just audio only. Yeah. Because we couldn't really, we're just playing the TV show and then just talking through the events of the show. We're basically rewriting the script of the show as it was unfolding.
And I was trying to give Star Trek.
So it's so dumb because it was just the captain's walking out of the thing. Oh my God, what's the captain doing? And if you wanted to watch the show, you just watch the show. You wouldn't listen to us.
Yeah, exactly. Why would you have our sort of, tidbit in the background sort of talking about it? We're commentators on the episode itself.
Didn't fully think it through.
No, that's what but hey, that's what it was for. It was just, dipping our toes in the water. And if we didn't have that, then we wouldn't be here now, if you think about it. Because if we didn't have that previous podcast episode, knowing that we only got to that episode 7, do you think would be at episode 50?
57, I think 57?
It is. Yeah. I don't think it would be as far as we were because we had got a bit of practice. And we're it sort of let us know that we can sort of banter and we can sort of talk on camera as well.
Mm.
And maybe that's sort of what helps led into a YouTube channel too. It's being able to, talk together and being able to be on screen together and stuff.
Cool. Well, yeah, we're here. We're doing it. We're rocking it. I think we'll get to episode 100 this year quite easily. We're there's no stopping now. We're too far into it now to stop.
I think so. It's once, and I think referencing the previous episode about resistance, right? We're putting in the work, we're putting in the habits for it, and we're in that momentum cycle. So now that we're in that momentum cycle, it's easier to keep going rather than stopping.
Yes. And I mean, we touched on everything we touched on, we've previously touched on.
But it's more of just in a reference, but it sort of makes sense, right? It's just what we're interested in. And it's helpful for other people to, think about it. If they're up to their number 7, keep going. It's easier to keep going than to stop.
So speaking of science fiction, that ties in nicely to our playlist segment of the week. Need a jingle.
Oh, yeah. It's playlist time.
All right, stop. Let's try again.
You're the jingle guy. Why am I trying to do the jingle?
Because I just wanted to test your limits, see what you can muster in the moment.
Not a lot.
Jingle time. I got nothing. I'm feeling awkward and self-conscious about my jingle.
Yeah, which is why Drew
now.
Put me on the spot to try and figure it out.
Okay, so moving on to this week's playlist. None other than probably the biggest show of the year, Last of Us. It did finish almost 2 weeks ago now. We're a little bit behind the 8 ball. I mean, we did watch it on release day.
Yes.
But we wanted to hold off a bit. Specifically so we can give out spoilers. Is that right?
Yeah, I think so. Spoiler alert, everybody.
Okay, can we get a spoiler alert jingle?
Spoiler. No, I can't. Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. That's more of like the Star Trek.
Not,
I know.
Not an echo. It's fine. You did well.
Like an alarm.
You did well for being on the spot. So, yeah, I don't know. There's not many spoilers to give. But this week's playlist is Last of Us. Was that on HBO?
Yes, I think originally on HBO, but you can get it on Binge. I know the previous.
Like, no one knows what Binge is.
That's fine, and I know like the previous one was just like a Netflix Chris Rock thing. This one's going to take you a little bit longer than a singular weekend. It's going to take a little bit of commitment to be able to watch it. If you're anyone like us, it's fine that it takes 2 nights and you fall asleep halfway through each episode. You just watch it the next night. Like, it's fine.
All right, so this is your chance to give, because you know how you usually jump way ahead of like the explanation phase?
Yes.
Can we see what you've got it in you to like give us a breakdown of this show?
Okay.
Without jumping too far ahead.
All right, I'll try. And this is actually coming from 2 people that haven't actually played the game.
Correct.
So we really enjoyed it. And we have like, no reference of like what the actual happened in the game pretty much. But
essentially, sell it to me.
Yeah. So essentially it's about like a post-apocalyptic world. There was this fungi that, changed and like adapted and started taking over humans and then making them want to like bite humans. So essentially like a zombie, but like fungi based rather than like, virusy sort of based.
So the fungus got into, jumped from like the plant or the fungal kingdom.
Yep.
Bacterial kingdom,
You know when you see those pictures of ants and they've got like that fungal thing that's like on them and controlling their brain and stuff?
No.
Like a David Attenborough type thing? Okay. That's where they got the inspo from.
Right. So basically this fungal disease has jumped to humans.
Yes, and it takes over and controls your brain, controls your movements, like takes you over and you essentially turn into like a zombie.
Yep.
So then this happened and like it like changed the world in like the matter of like 48 hours. Like it was super quick. And so then like it follows this main dude, Joel. And then like it sort of jumps ahead a couple of years, like 10 years, I think. It sort of like still follows him. And then introduce like Ellie, which is like the young girl. And she has like a special-ish sort of ability where she like gets bitten but doesn't change. Like she's like immune in a way. So then the rest of the story sort of centers around Joel taking her to like a Fireflies, which is like the anti sort of government sort of organization, to then like I guess do experiments and stuff to see if they can make like an antidote or a cure.
So it's just a search for a cure the entire time.
Pretty much, yeah.
I mean, that's all we really have to know is like there's mushroom-based zombie people. Mm-hmm. It's a classic like father and daughter, but not quite his daughter, but kind of a daughter figure to him. And they're just hunting through the wilderness, through the obstacles, trying to find a cure at this laboratory, which I don't even know if it still exists or anything. And it's a great show. I think was it 10 episodes?
9.
9 episodes.
Yeah. And something that I really love about it is like it's great. Like the way that they build the characters and build the emotion and build like the story and the connection and stuff behind them is done really, really well. And you have like these moments of like Joel just being an absolute like a badass and you're like, what the hell? Like it's pretty brutal at some points and like the special effects are absolutely amazing. And you can just see these insights to like the human condition. You see like both good and bad, like the best of like what humans can be and like the most evil of like what they can be. And this like the show just gives you the whole entire spectrum of like what would happen and how would humans really react and really like treat each other when,
faced with the obstacles.
Exactly.
So I think if you don't really like zombie movies, then...
Or like sci-fi stuff in general.
I still think it's worth watching. It's not like so zombie heavy like Walking Dead, for example. There's not that much. It's all story driven. There's some episodes that are a bit slower and it's pure story build for like 45 minutes.
It's more about the relationships between the people they are or the people they meet.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's what we have to really say about it. It's a great show. It's worth binging out. It's going to take you 9 hours on your Saturday or Sunday this weekend. But that is our official playlist recommendation this week. Yeah,
it's a long one, but highly recommended. Really, really enjoyed it. We were like, it came out like every Monday and we're actually kind of excited. We're like, and like a lot of people I work with, like, it's last of day night.
It's
like,
very rare that you get one of those shows where as a culture, not a culture, but like majority of people that are into streaming stuff are waiting week to week for the new episodes. I
A water cooler moment.
I haven't felt that way since probably Game of Thrones.
Yes.
Almost 5, 6, almost 10 years ago.
That is so true. Like, it's very rare to find like one of those viral TV shows where you have those, like, literally those water cooler moments where people like everyone's talking about it. All the news articles the next day like do a breakdown of the episode and what it all means and behind the scenes and what they think is going to happen next. Like, how close is it to like the game compared to the actual story? And yeah.
Yep. And if you're worried about it being one of those shows that is cancelled immediately, it has been signed on for a second season.
Mm-hmm.
And I think pretty much everyone involved wants it to keep going and even potentially make more games to then support the entire
TV show
universe, like more like probably comic books will come out and whatever. But the more like they're going to start working on more games to then support more characters and side stories and then more TV shows. So
well, they're comparing it to like The Walking Dead, right? Where The Walking Dead had like side shows and stuff like spin-offs. Yeah, so they're saying this probably has the potential, but yes, highly recommended, everyone.
Interesting. All right, we'll see you guys next week. Thanks for hanging out with the Look Mom
crew. Yeah, thanks. Bye.